allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Hey, everyone, have you had a chance to review the agenda? Does anybody have any conflict or anything on the agenda? Otherwise, we'll consider it approved. All righty. Madam Auditor, will you please read the minutes of the previous meeting?
The Board of Supervisors met at 9:00 a.m. on August 27th with Jean Hayden, Chair presiding. Members present were Dozark, Hayden, Mulberg, Mulbauer, my God, Rosberg. Member absent was Schultz. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. On motion, the board recognized claims for the Public Health Department and approved claims for all the other departments. The board approved the change of wages for Bryce Plunk, Maintenance Employee 1, Engineer's Office. A motion was made by Dozark, seconded by Rosberg, to approve the tax abatement of 1996 U Avenue, Dow City, Ben and Amy Mitchell, new home. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Mulbauer, seconded by Dozark, to approve the Secure Shred Solutions LLC service agreement. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the following resolution. Resolution 2024-31. Resolution to pay back interfunds temporary operation loan. Do I have to read all of it too? I was going to say.
Yes.
Voting aye was
Make sure you read off all the expenses.
Dozark, Hayden, Mulbauer, and Rosberg. Motion passed unanimously. On motion duly seconded, the board adjourned at 10:53 a.m. Agenda for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday at 4:30, preceding the next meeting.
All righty. Any corrections or additions to said minutes? Otherwise, we'll consider those approved. Reports from supervisors. Who has something they want to share?
Okay, I don't have a lot, but
All right.
I did stop in and talk to Seth this morning. Seth had brought it up. We had talked a little bit about reviewing our tax abatement policy with new homes. That, there are some tax changes that are gonna happen where the school portion of that tax abatement cannot be abated. So it lessens the amount.
So there already has been legislation or?
It goes into effect,
Okay.
it's coming up here. Seth could give you the details on that, but it's gonna basically, we abate so much for the first 3 years, but now that the state changed their legislation, the school still is gonna get their portion.
Oh.
What is the reason behind that?
I,
They thought the schools were getting cheated out of money.
Good lobbyists.
I would imagine that just the funding for the students, I'm guessing they're probably concerned that they're getting shorted funds for.
so they can short them more at the state.
No, you're probably not wrong.
Either way, he just said, not that he didn't have any ideas of any crazy radical changes or anything like that, just maybe a review of the policy or say, well, this is gonna take effect, this is gonna happen if we wanna update it or do any changes. Cause I think it's been quite a while since we've
Is that just on residential then?
residential.
For the
and
school?
We have one for,
Is if,
I think it's
well,
also
if we do a commercial / industrial abatement, is that school tax thing and is that also exempt from being?
I think so.
Yes, yes.
I think so.
I would think that that's one of their bigger, so it would be, that's,
But he kind of asked if there was one or two of us that wanted to maybe sit down with him, go over some of these details. He suggested you, because you asked questions last week about some of that stuff.
I do want to.
And maybe we don't make any changes. It's just, might be a good time to review what we currently have and what the law changes are, and how that's gonna
good to know.
directly affect us.
Mhm.
Or could he just come up and present it to all of us and let us all know at a meeting so that the people on Zoom and it becomes, that's secret. What the-
Well, I'm not trying to keep anything a secret. I think it's more just if we,
See if we want to do something else.
I know I've received calls from the public in regards to us matching the city of Denison, so they've got pretty aggressive tax abatement for new housing. I think there's like a 10-year deal.
And I guess,
I don't know if we wanna go that far, but
Gene, I think
I think
more
there's
so would
things
be,
you can do.
it's up
if
to
one or
them.
two of
It's
us
your debate.
kind of dug into it, maybe
Like
came
a
up with some
graduate.
recommendations and then brought it to the full board of, hey, this is what's gonna happen with some of these
My question
changes.
would be, what recommendation would this board be able to make if the state is making changes, those changes are made? And do we have the option of not accepting what the state is proposing?
No,
No?
it'd be,
Well, we could change it from a 3-year to a 5-year or 10-year or
Right.
whatever, I mean.
the changes that the school is gonna still receive their money, and that we can't abate that. Might change if we wanna, the length of it, or.
Right.
I would
The
just
amount
assume
of-
he'd bring it up, we all hear what he has to say
Oh, he'd
and
do that.
listen to it, because it just seems like an extra step.
I just
for
try
you
to get
guys
some of
to
the
explain
legwork
it
out of
to
the
us.
way before.
But I don't understand what
You leave it
legwork
alone.
we have
Leave it alone
to do.
too.
Yeah, but what legwork would we have to do?
We just do it.
That Seth wouldn't be able to present to all of us in a public setting, and either we are doing it or not. I mean, is there something, I
Don't have my
guess I have a hard time understanding
portion of the
what
schools.
what the
percentages
options
that
are,
is
that
gonna
we have
change.
legwork, we need to have an extra committee meeting, and
That's
then
what
you
the
guys
state-
have to just have them come
The
and
school portion
tell
is.
us what it is, and you know,
Usually it's the bigger
we
portion.
wanna do it or we don't.
Right.
That's my opinion, but
Well, we still gotta think here, my thing to that is he's probably wanting to ask us what we would like to. What maybe the board's think preview is, I mean, maybe that's why you wanna have it with the whole board. Is like he said, if you wanna go to a 3 or a 5-year,
right.
you still gotta entice people in, cause I will tell you that that's one of the big things. You know, you obviously have infrastructure issues, but then they also wanna know what kind of benefits packages there are, which obviously tax abatements and stuff like that for the initial, cause you have your startup cost to build anything or start a business in any regard, whether it's commercial or industrial, you got your startup costs, so they like to be able to offset. Charter Oak gives you a year of water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I
Last
believe.
week it wasn't the best.
Well, the grass probably would have liked the water, but
And
it.
now they'll give you a free lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just, there's your things that, you know, to entice. I mean, obviously Charter Oak's idea for water was that people will water their yards freely then
Mhm.
and get a nice, keep the community looking nice. you
Yeah.
know,
That's
so
a
I
good
mean,
figure, you know,
yeah, if you're watering your yard, that'd be a large dollar.
It'd
You
be
know,
a
it
large dollar.
probably wouldn't look real big on their scheme, but for you, it would look large,
Mhm.
you know? So I mean, it's a good bet. I'm just things like that. that would
And I'm
be my
not saying
guess
that
of what
anything
it's
could change.
Maybe
It
we
might
just
just stay
need
the
to-
same. It's just a review of
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Let's get it on to review, cause maybe we need to
I just,
put some paper and pencil together and see what we're gonna be losing, or they would be losing by not being able to abate the schools. And then maybe extend that out 2 more years, 5 years abatement instead of a 3, cause
Even if you did like a 3, like normal, but then did a graduated one after that for out to 6 years. you
I
know?
just think it'd be easier for us all to hear the whole package and then, rather than
And I'm fine with that.
kind of
too.
dissect.
He just asked if one or two wanted to go down and kind of go through
You're
the
gonna have
weeds
to
with
let
him
them tell us
first,
all
but
about it anyway, so if
Save
you
us-
wanna hear the whole
that's
story,
fine.
that's my opinion.
Save me time of,
That's kind of what I'm
you
thinking,
know, not
going
here
and
anyways.
dissecting it, so maybe get it on the agenda. You just have him come up and tell us all about the changes, and doesn't have to be an action item that day necessarily, but some things to digest and think about, and make suggestions and do what's best for our county, so that'd be my thought process on that. Get it on the agenda,
I'm good.
have Seth put it on the agenda, have Seth come up and talk to us about the changes that the state are, and what it's gonna mean to our county with the tax abatements, and the school and all that stuff. So do you want it to be, take action or just a decision?
Oh, I guess really don't.
Well, you can
It
always
don't
have
matter to me.
You can have it be, take action if we have an action.
I think it's something we need to address, period.
Okay,
Whether we
right.
do it here or we do it, we have
Yeah.
two.
I don't know if I'd
You
be,
can only have 2 of us is probably why you said that.
Right.
I don't know if I'd be prepared to take action if I thought
Okay.
we're just brainstorming going over
All
it
right.
next week.
Just get-
Want to know details and
Discussion,
think about it.
here we go. All right. All right, got anything else?
That's all I got.
I got stuff.
Ty, why don't we go with you next? You haven't been second for a long time.
sounded bad, didn't it? I got stuff.
No, nothing to, I'm gonna start over what I was gonna bring up last week.
All right.
I went to a, um, I'll just read what the hell the title is here. Basic Disaster Survival Readiness Guide. All right, and Woodbury County's got I don't know how new he is, but, their EMA coordinator, manager, he was a, I believe, paramedic, and he was a fireman in Chicago, and he's got a master's in EMA, very sharp fellow. And he was kind of a cut up, so it made the training interesting, it wasn't boring and dry. So, but he is going around to his communities, and there was actually a really good turnout in Smithland. I thought it was a really good turnout for Smithland. I mean, it looked like the whole town was there. Now granted, there was some from, like, there was a couple of us from Crawford County, Feller came with me, or I met him there, I should say. And it was he was the one that's been kind of pushing this, because this is about getting the people ready, not getting EMA ready. I mean, this is about working with the people so they know what to do in the event of a disaster, whether it's because of a storm or whether it's because of a terrorist incident or whatever. I mean, and he's got different levels of this training that he could do.
Ted, who did you say was there? I didn't hear what you said was there.
Mark Feller.
Mark Feller. Okay, all right.
Anyway, basically just went across emergency plans, what kind of family communication plans, evacuation plans, shelter in place plans, work and school plans. I mean, where would we meet if there was something major? I mean, just stuff to prepare your community and how to coordinate with food and water, or how to meet with your family after kids are in school and there's a complete, I mean, worst case scenario, things that happen in the movies, but may not ever happen. But if you're prepared, you always plan for the worst and hope for the best, hope for the best and plan for you get what I'm saying. Anyway, I think even financial readiness stuff, I mean, so, you could help EMA with that, right? But there's just different things that he went over that really, I mean, seemed like a lot of it was common sense for me as an old soldier, because I would always plan and get ready for all this stuff with my troops. But I don't know that I ever really planned that detailed with my family. I thought of a time when my wife and I were going overseas and we were delivering my pickup to the port to be put on a ship to go over to Germany. And her and I got separated before we got out of Philadelphia. And I'm watching her pass me on an overpass. I have no idea where she's gonna go from there. I don't know if she didn't see me go that way. But luckily, she did see that I went a different direction than her. And I guess she'd heard me say enough things about stuff from the military. She formed her own rally point, and she came back to the hotel. But, I just thought, I wonder, I should have been somebody that prepared for that and didn't. And, those were the kind of things that I was trained to think about all the time. So, and I was still a young soldier at that time. So, I mean, it was probably just a little bit of lack of preparation, but that's my point about this. I thought it was a really good program that he was putting on for the community to be able to prepare for things. And he said he would have other things that they could volunteer to go to as well, that would help in depth a little bit more, even how to dry your foods and different things like that, if you wanted to do them kind of things. So, I mean, I just thought about, these are some of the things that our EMA should probably provide for the community. And another reason why just having this as a person that's part-time makes this pretty complicated for him to fit all that into a schedule. And these are things that are for the good of the community, because this stops people from not being prepared and then basically running around the streets with no food, no water, whatever the case may be. Now, most of us pull together pretty good. I don't think it's gonna be as drastic as a lot of movie things, but if it's a long-term thing, I mean, one of the things that went through my mind, there's surely you can talk about a terrorist event where they rob you of the electricity, which would be a bad thing. But, you know, they talk about Yellowstone having, being it's 600,000 year, whatever the hell it is for the, where it's supposed to erupt. And if you look at its plume, well, if it was a good west wind, there's a lot of that ash gonna cover the ground here and stuff. You know, and one thing I never heard him talking about for supplies that would be necessary, but, you know, it's like, nobody thinks about it, now my wife does, but heritage seeds. Most of the seeds that you get every year to plant in your garden, they only grow that year, and the fruit that it bears, them seeds won't produce a plant again next year. It's kind of like breeding a jack and you know, with a horse, it makes a mule, it don't reproduce. So I mean, having heritage seeds on hand, and how long are they good for? How do you keep replenishing that? You know, if it was a long-term thing, you know what I mean? I think that's part of our job, you know, you don't like to think about those things, you know, that big of a catastrophe, but somebody's gotta think about it, and I think that's what we have emergency management for, this
I
minute.
have a question. That list that you have, who produced that list?
I suspect he made it, it says emergency management, Woodbury County.
And that's from, okay, right. I didn't know if that was something that we had from Crawford County or.
No, this is Woodbury County, he handed this out at there.
Okay,
I
okay.
took a few notes, you know, it talked about, you know, he was talking about how long you can go without water. You know, if people have water supplies in home, you got your own well, if you got a generator, you're probably good, you know, I mean, you're gonna be a place that can supply water for people, you know, I mean. There's places like that you'll be all right, but, yeah.
Do you think we have a place for all of the folks that live in our mobile home parks and like in?
I don't think we do.
And here tornadoes coming and it's predicted, you know.
I don't know for
You
sure
know,
what's out
but
there.
wouldn't you think that that would be something that we kind of, everybody knows where you should go if you don't have a basement or?
You would like to think
You
so.
would like to think so.
Yeah.
That's asked.
And I don't know the answer to that question.
What?
That's asked a lot on Facebook too, from
But,
mobile homes.
you know, for folks that don't count on getting their information from Facebook, which I'd be one of them that, you know.
I remember when we first moved to Fort Dodge and I was little, I remember Dad running us to a ditch. Because we lived in a trailer house at first when we got there. And, we ran to a ditch because the tornado, it covered us all up with a tarp, you know, from the rain, but
Yep,
that was our protection. Hopefully we're a little better positioned than that nowadays,
It's
but
better
I
than
don't
nothing.
know. I don't know the
better
answer
than
to that.
nothing.
So anyway, I think this is stuff, you know, this is stuff that I guess want folks to know EMA is working on that kind of thing now, you know, I mean, I shouldn't say now, and maybe they always have been, I mean, but now, as, I know these are things that are important to us.
Would you, Ty, I don't know if that EMA guy spoke on it, but wouldn't you think that each county, if you wanna say, or city department, like the sheriff's department, fire department, we've got a national guard unit, that they're all prepared or have their things in place for what to do on certain.
I think in their
disasters?
wheelhouse, you bet, I mean, I think, and then common sense will take us a long ways. You know, if we've got some good leadership in the fire service and then good leadership in the sheriff's office and in the other departments, you know, I mean, I think that, you know, I mean, look how they responded to Manila. I mean, we cleaned that up, you know, granted, Manila wasn't as big a disaster as it was down by Defiance or something, but even in Defiance, you know, look how the community, I mean, them kind of disasters, and maybe it's because we're actually rehearsed with that kind of a disaster, you know, sadly enough, we had a little practice with that. I mean, we had Mapleton, some other communities that had that happen. So I
In the
think.
grand scheme of disasters, those are short-term disasters.
Exactly.
They're not a Yellowstone,
Yeah.
our sun's been blocked for 3 months.
Exactly.
Type Disaster.
Very good, Kyle. I mean, and that's to me, them are the kind of things that while we don't like to think about it, if we don't, we're not doing a good service to our children.
Way that compared to Spencer, Spirit Lake up there. Look at how long the flooding lasted and caused damage compared to.
But in the grand scheme of things, I don't wanna sound cold or not, but that's still a short-term disaster.
Yeah.
It
Right.
is, but it's at the time when it's happening.
Oh, it's a huge problem and it's a huge inconvenience and a lot of people are displaced and put out and granted. They could move 20 miles and be in a safe area.
Yeah.
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 So what you're saying is there may not be a safe area
Yeah.
for a
Well,
2-day drive.
Just imagine if Omaha lost electricity for 2 months. I mean, just 2 months. But think about all the refrigeration just went out. People are gonna, I mean, they're gonna swarm them stores, and that's gonna go away fast. And if they're still hungry and still thirsty, because if there's no electricity, now there's generators, so Omaha's gonna figure out a way to produce some water. Hopefully, they're already got their plans, like, and it's a big city, so they're probably already have some of these plans in place, but. And I'm not saying we don't have any plans in place, because we got emergency preparedness plans, I mean, we do, but we don't go out, and this was about taking it to the public and training the people. Here's what you can do to protect you and your household first. And then make it to where you're an asset to the community, not a liability to the community. Because you're either an asset, in a time of disaster, you're either an asset or you're a liability. And you hope everybody's an asset. And most people, in the Midwest have common sense. They show up with their shovels. I mean, Charter Oak got winded. It got a heavy wind the other day and tree limbs down everywhere, and they all jumped to work, I mean, the water thing with our water boil order. I mean, Tim called over there, wanted to know if we needed water. Peggy said, yeah, can we get some water? And Ivy had a truck there that day. I mean, so we have plans on certain things. But what happens if it's a large scale thing where, Crawford County is just one of the situations? So I mean, instead of making Crawford County a liability to the state of Iowa, we can make ourselves an asset to the state.
Are you proposing that we possibly get some kind of updates and maybe give our plan, so that the general public knows, and maybe this is a good time to review where we're at? And
That's actually happening.
okay, very good.
So it's happening. We're working on things. It's going a little slow now because of some other things that are going on with EMA, but I mean, we're working on it, and we'll get there. And these are some things that I think it's gonna be very beneficial in the long run. And I think that's something that this board needs to be aware of, that we need to do.
That's exactly.
And because if we want to go full-time with EMA, obviously it's gonna affect our budget. However, I'm also working on some things that make it minimize any large cost to the board.
Ty,
Board being the county.
are our neighboring counties doing something similar with updating a plan like this? Or, I mean, you get into an event like when you're talking, we're all in the same boat. I don't know if there's
Well, like I said,
resources
this
that
was
you
Woodbury,
share.
so I think if you got emergency management coordinators, just like what we have our 4 county supervisor meeting. I mean, I would encourage our emergency managers to be doing this together too. I mean, have a quarterly meeting where they're all talking about, well, this is what we're doing in Woodbury County. What are you doing in Crawford? And this is what we're doing in Crawford. I mean, because we may have some assets that can help them with their larger city. While they have a larger city that might have assets that can help us with medical things or whatever the case may be. You see what I'm saying?
I did talk to auditors, when I was down at ISAC, and we're gonna get that 4 county, meeting going again. I think Harrison County is gonna pick it up at its
Okay.
turn, so
Okay,
make sure we get that on the agenda for police to talk about, so.
sure.
So did the EMA person state, I guess, what their role is? Did they feel it was their role to get the sheriff's department understood what their role is in certain,
No,
or did
I
does he communicate with those
Yeah.
organizations, or I guess, what's he feel his role is, like with the sheriffs and the
Well,
fire and the?
I think the EMA coordinator's job is to coordinate the overall effort.
Is our guy doing that now? Or, I mean, is that the way our role has been of the EMA?
I would say that it would be. I mean, when you're doing something part-time, you have so much time to do it. I mean, if you got another career, I mean, Tim's filling in right now, and he's got a busy job. In fact, part of that busy job right now is serving Crawford County's tower system, trying to get it up and going, finish it off for us. So I mean, he's got a full-time job. Well, to do some of these projects, I mean, there's a lot to it. But an EMA isn't to tell the fire department, the fire service how to do their job. It isn't to tell the sheriff's department how to do their job, but it is to coordinate so that the sheriff department knows what the fire department's gonna be doing in this, or what the hospital will be doing in this type of an emergency. And quite frankly, I don't know that they all really know what each other will be doing. I'll just use an example. Okay, on a football team, the best football teams everybody in every position knows what everybody else is doing in every other position. So that they don't overlap and basically got everybody covering one man, so to speak. You know, so if everybody knows everybody's job, it helps them facilitate doing their job. So there isn't an overlap and something's getting missed.
And it's 2 years ago, I had that big fire. I was in contact with Greg a lot. He was securing resources and getting resources for what we needed.
There you go.
He was, you know, had all the lieutenants talking to him, is like, this is what we need, and he said, I'll get it for you. And he was making phone calls.
Just like Tim calling Charter Oak the other day, hey, I can get you some water. Do you need some water?
So I had that
Truckload show
kind
up.
of in a nutshell, what EMA,
Mhm.
educate and then be a liaison to help the big picture. As
Sure.
all other agencies are working together, kind of the nucleus that he's reached out to everybody in the state, he or she, and got all these contacts and can make calls and have resources available.
Essentially, he's the quarterback.
There you go. I mean, in the Army, everybody had their own level of training, like the buck sergeants. They trained the troops, they worked on the troops' individual tasks, how to shoot their rifle, or, you know, how to keep it clean, doing all the individual stuff. Then when you moved up to the section sergeant, he did the first level of organized training where it was collected. Now, to me, that's what our EMA manager or coordinator, whatever you wanna call him, that's what to me, his role is to establish trainings that brings all the elements together, whether it's just in a tabletop exercise or a live, you know, training. You know, you can just start doing them things. I mean, just look at the fire department, all the different things you got going on in a fire department. I mean, like in Denison's, use that, you know, their dive team and, you know, your hazmat team, your vehicle extrication teams. And you bring all them together for certain things, you know, to train so that they all understand. And the people that aren't actually part of your team, but you need them to help, you know, everybody knows what to do. I mean, I can't speak for the sheriffs. I'm sure they've got multiple little task forces within a sheriff's department or a police department that, you know, are doing different things, but do need information from the other departments or assistance at times. So, I mean, I think everybody does their own thing. But, you know, to get everybody coordinated together, I think that's emergency management's job. And then in this case, it's to bring training and planning and preparation to the folks themselves, you know, I mean, to where they are, you know, if we had a major disaster, I mean, with our sheriff's department the size it is, or even our fire departments the size, most of our fire departments all of our fire departments are volunteer except for a few people. You know, I mean, so if you look at it from that perspective, a lot of them are gonna actually be taking care of their homes too. So I mean, bringing everything together is gonna be a bit of a challenge, you know?
They say the best, or how to get information to the general public, the best ways to do that.
Well, he was just doing these trainings. And I'm sure
How
that
to
he
get
could,
people engaged and involved.
yeah. And you know, just doing different things like that. I think you're gonna have your people that are, what do you call them, preppers, probably already know how to do a lot of this stuff. You know, so they're all, but they're an asset. So make use of them. Actually, if you're the EMA coordinator, them are the people I'd be reaching out to. Can you help me with this training? You know, you may, if we break off into little groups in the training and, you know, you teach how to dehydrate food or different things like that. You know, there's just different things you could teach and help with the community. I just think them are good things to help folks out because not everybody knows how to do those things, you know?
I like your thoughts of having the close EMA people meet on a quarterly basis from surrounding counties.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned about you're either an asset or a liability.
Mhm.
And so if Crawford County is an asset, but the counties around us are liabilities, now those people are coming here.
There you go.
And so we're prepared for maybe 16,500 people, size of our county, and now we've got 30,000 people coming.
Ding,
So-
ding, ding. So if we all work together.
Right, right, that's why I like that.
Prepare
thing
our
with-
region as opposed to.
Exactly.
And I mean, you
Exactly.
know, he could probably, ENA could even probably coordinate training with Region 12, helping out with things, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of places, and I mean, we might know about grant money. That's the thing is, if you have you know, an EMA coordinator like this guy, you know, I mean, he came in here. I mean, a lot of times Greg's been doing this forever, but I would bet a lot of it was learn as you go. You know, I'm sure he went to a lot of trainings over the years, but.
I think that what you did there, what you went to is very key, because there'd be a matter of a week or 10 days or whatever, people will have to survive on their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
before resources get allocated and delivered and set up to where you can start helping.
Mhm.
So,
And
by
you
getting
know-
any kind of training out there to the general public is gonna make the whole system
A lot
run
easier to.
smoother.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
No.
To Craig's point, it might not just be an influx of the surrounding counties. If Omaha shuts down, like you said, how
That's
many
why-
people do we have family or know somebody that would say, hey, I'm gonna go back to
Right.
Dennis?
Well, I
or
just did that
Crawford
the
County?"
other, when they had them straight line winds, I called my aunts and uncles, they were out of power, I says, if you need a place to stay, we're fine here, you know, come on up. So that's gonna happen.
That's what we'll have. I mean, and those are the things to think about, you know, and I don't know that everybody,
Bring your checkbook.
yeah, I don't know that everybody, bring hamburgers for grilling. Need some extra hamburger. But you know, that's the thing is, I think that's stuff that we need to work on and we're starting to and get, and like Feller and stuff, you know, having him involved in it, you know, I mean, that shows us that we already have interested citizens within our community and he isn't alone, you know, I mean, he'd been talking with people and if you went on a couple of these Facebook private pages that they talk on, you know, these are some of the things that they're concerned with and interested in and wanting to move forward. And so I think it's stuff that, you know, we need to be moving in this direction more as we move forward. And I think with this board supporting the effort, you know, at least we, you know, with good word, and I think that, the finances and that stuff are already there to do these kind of things. I just think that, you know, if they know this is a priority to us, then they'll feel like this is something, okay, this is what we need to have on our agenda. And it happens with all of our departments. You know, if we have something that we want secondary roads to primary to focus on, they do. So anyway, and the other thing is that on our reservoir that we're working on, we're kind of at the point where we're wanting to discuss, doing a 28E to establish and acquire grants, to work with, basically start an official commission to talk to, Army Corps of Engineers, DNR and all these people, and then work on getting grant monies and stuff like that. Paul's one of them that's volunteered his time to work on this, you know, along with me, but if we're doing a 28E, I think having some coordinating, Paul said he could look through the 28E example that we got here, the Clark County Reservoir Commission. And then probably get Colin obviously involved in this and make sure that it's not over committing the county versus DMU and rural water, so. And I will just tell you that I do know there's a couple industries out there that are looking for places to land that would need a little bit more water. They necessarily packing facilities or even high personnel jobs, so, but they need water, so I mean, they're probably looking at places that have plans for water sustainability throughout the year, so things like this will probably be critical in the future. And obviously give everybody something to drink in case of an emergency. But, this probably catches me up.
Good job. Thank you very much. Very interesting, good information. Thank you very much. Just keep going around.
Probably won't take too long.
Gone.
Down in Arizona last week, and it was actually cooler in Phoenix than it was here.
Oh, my word.
Which was a first, but Gene and I met at the building to be named later.
Yes.
Friday afternoon and walked through it, trying to get the drywallers there. There was a couple
It's all.
small plumbing
Yeah.
things that need to be buttoned up and a
Yeah.
couple electrical things that
Yeah.
need to be buttoned up, and they both assured us they would be done.
I was reminded that yesterday was a holiday, and so that first of the week had to
The
move.
drywallers will be there this week sometime.
Yeah. So,
So
constant
that
vacation.
was from the drywaller this morning that he will be there this week. The electrician said he will be out of there and this week.
Yep.
So,
Is that one downstairs?
yeah,
Downstairs.
yep, trying to just, I mean, there's a few items upstairs, electrical and plumbing that just needs to be touched
Just
up.
a few. Yeah.
Trying to keep the whole
That's not where you took sinks out and stuff.
construction phase, you know, the electrical ain't done down there, but they can hang dry.
Right, right. Plumbing is to the point where they can drive, hang the drywall. And so
Good.
there, everything's
Good
set
deal.
up. Yep, everything should be moving along. So it's time we get the building named. So we'll do that
Yep.
down the road. But yeah, thanks for that update. It's moving along.
Like you said, the door, people have got all the stuff to.
Right, we're just waiting for that outlet so they.
So it's all, it's slowly coming together.
Yep, yep. Got all the doors swinging the right ways to make sure that they don't, and those things all kind of take somebody to go down and say, well, if you're in a wheelchair, it has to go this way, and, there are handicap accessible. We're very aware that that's gotta be done right, done the first time, right? So get that bathroom go. Yep, so we'll get that built.
That's all.
later.
Excellent.
All right, you're up.
Had something from West Central Community Action. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and I know last week we we're gonna get a bunch of stuff with ISAC. I think took up the bulk of our time. But this was just some statistics, community needs assessment, and they assess all the 10 counties that are in the region. And so Crawford, I just thought there were some interesting stats that I kind of knew, but it did, if you want to say, jump out at you a little bit. I mean, Crawford County, our population, this is not by group, this is by the whole 10 counties, but 20% of our population is age 65 or older. 5.5% is age 0 to 4. So that tells you a little bit about it. And in Crawford County, it says, and this isn't, I guess I'll tell you that 0 to 4, Crawford County said they had 986 people. And when I asked them about that, Danny said that sometimes they have a hard time with people reporting all of that. But for instance, Potawatomi County has 5,325. We had the second most of all the counties reporting of people age 0 to 4. Crawford, interesting, right? Crawford County is out of the 10 counties, it's the second lowest in average household income. Our average household income is $78,927. Just for instance, Shelby County, directly south of us, their average household income is $91,452. So $13,000 more in Shelby County versus Crawford County, which I thought was that surprised me, because you don't see, I guess from the outside, you don't think that there's a lot of difference between Shelby and Crawford
How
County.
much of that is from people that work in Omaha that?
Right, that could be the reason why that is. They're closer,
BB Town
have the
probably
ability
makes more money than,
to commute.
yeah. Their for family salary is probably a lot higher because all them high rent houses, their
We're up
salary.
against that.
Unemployment rate, Crawford County is the highest of the 10. We are at 4%. And the second highest is 2.1% by Mills and Cass and Pot County. So that was for 2023.
I'd like a copy of that.
Nope, you gotta turn it over. That's the same page already, right? There you go. Population in poverty. Crawford County leads the list. We're at 18.06%. Next highest is Page at 13.91. So we're 5% higher. Population in poverty, they had us at 2,959 out of our population of 16,380.
You're always bringing that up.
That should be, remember, we,
Children in poverty, Crawford County leads the list at 26%. Cass is second at 24%. So. And this is also interesting, but households receiving SNAP, I just said we're the highest in the poverty level. We are 8th in people receiving SNAP at 8.03%. So we have a communication gap between letting people know what is available out there for them to use. I mean, like I said, we're at 8.03. Montgomery's at 15.56. Cass is at 14.46. So it surprised me. I mean, they did say that SNAP, the program, certainly with COVID, it inflated and then they put more restrictions on it, so there were certainly less people in 2023 that were getting it than before, but this is just shows for 2023.
Craig, do you think any part of that could be because we have an active food pantry that gets a lot of private donations that people, you access that versus,
An active TAP program, I mean, you have Crawford County Hunger Fighters.
Fighters.
you know what I mean? And like skew that number a little bit, they're still getting it, they're just going somewhere else.
My question is,
Possible.
how are they gathering this data? How are they gathering it exactly?
I guess Danny is the one that gathered, I think that came from the data source for that was the US Census Bureau American Community Survey. I guess this stated the years 2018 to 2022. Says in 2022, the Office of Head Start began recognizing SNAP as categorically eligible for income verification. So the Office of Head Start is getting that information from the people that are applying.
Okay.
The chart shows the average percentage of the population receiving SNAP benefits in the service area. So
I guess I'd be curious, how are they gathering the income of a retired person who's not applying for any services, who, how? That's just kind of runs through my mind exactly how is everybody getting registered as far as what your household income is, if you're not applying for a service, if that makes sense to you.
once again, it's done by the American Community Survey is their source that the data source that they state. So
Yeah, I don't know. And
the unemployment rate came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics
that
from
one,
the
I
US
didn't see how
Department
they
of
get
Labor.
that, because it's the folks coming in to apply for employment.
I wonder how much of that's.
But I think that the numbers of who's applying for unemployment and who's actually applying for reduced lunches would be a different, because, some folks aren't really even looking for a job.
Crawford County reported 6 homeless students. And that source is US Department of Education, EdFacts, and additional data analysis by CARES.
It's like a student that lives in a car or something.
That seems awful
I
high.
think
That's
bounce from
interesting.
health.
does.
It does. It seems
You
awful
might stay with the
high.
grand,
Mills County reported 106.
but they don't have a.
Cause I'm not surprised
Never
with
permanent
six.
ad.
You're not surprised by
No.
6?
I mean, we've got
Oh, you were
a
on
couple
school.
living under a bridge, and that's down the hill from my place.
Yeah, there were
I
some.
think they moved out now, but, that was all last year, they were around.
And I think that also, it might be someone who bounces from a home to a home to a home and doesn't have a permanent residence.
Yeah.
They still have that instability.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, one thing that they list the percentage of households where housing costs are 30% or more of your total household income. Crawford County is the second lowest at 17.65%. So on the one side, our housing costs are not as expensive in Crawford County as they are
In other places.
in those 10. The service area is 22.57, so those 10 counties, the average is 22.57. And we're at 17.65. The state of Iowa is at 23.04. So we got cheap housing in Crawford County, high unemployment, high poverty.
Low SNAP.
Well, there's a lot of things that really don't seem to add up. does it?
No,
It's not, I think I have more questions every time you give me a stat.
And I'll just end with, this is Danny, writing up in some recommendations. She just says there continues to be an increased need for early education and childcare in 8 of the 10 counties that are served by West Central Community Action. Crawford, Harrison, and Pot counties have the largest need for registered childcare slots for children aged 0 to 5. So
Very interesting,
I found it interesting. I
very interesting.
just want to share.
Excellent statistics.
I would like a
Yep.
copy of that if I, just because
No problem.
I couldn't write it all down fast enough and
I get everyone a copy of it.
I
That'd
think
be
that would
great.
be great, because I think it's something we could kind of study and see if it makes sense to us, how.
That's a good- That didn't add up, really.
Yeah, you
No,
could,
it wasn't.
you could just, scan it and email it to us. That way we wouldn't have to waste paper. Never always know where it was at.
Oh, my secretary did that.
All right. I can, you have a secretary. That's very special.
Thanks, Megan.
I can do that.
That's all? I did have, my, Buena Vista, Sac and Crawford County Early Childhood, meeting, and it, was by Zoom. Just the same, we're struggling keeping all of our services financed, and that's actually a long meeting because we were going over some meetings, but and then we're also going to start having more county meetings again. I did
I'll watch
meet
that
with
for
the
you.
gals, the auditors, when I was down in Sac, and so watch for an email on that. Perfect timing, Paul. Perfect
Good
timing.
morning.
What a beautiful morning, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful weekend. So. Take it. Right.
Good morning.
A lot of stuff.
Thank you.
Don't have a whole lot of new stuff this morning, as you can see, so. The box culvert, they're should be pouring here later this morning, the second wall section, so then they only have 2 more concrete pours after that. And it'll have to sit for a little while before they can start backfilling, but we're right along now. So, once they get out of that floor portion, it goes a lot quicker. And
How do they do this more damage? Do they stopping the flow of?
yeah, they bypass the water. Yeah. It goes in a channel around the project area while they're working on it. But, it's just, you're always, you're starting at the ground and working up. But once you get the concrete, then you're working on concrete, building your forms for the walls. So it's just a lot easier. Is there some kind of do they bore down into the bedrock to set foundations? No, it's just a slab on grade. It just sits there. I mean, it's wide enough that it'll support the load. So it's not like you have to have piling or anything driven in. It just sits on a granite material and sometimes a fabric, depending on the. So you don't have to worry about undermining or? No, there's cutoff walls on the inlet and outlet end of it. So keep the water from going underneath of it. So, yeah. They had a good chance, go up there and take a peek. I think
I just walked down to the 59
Mhm.
yesterday,
Yeah.
down there and walked out there. And
I think they're backfilling there as well.
I was just curious when I saw the ground, the floor, I guess you wanna say,
Yeah.
and pouring it, I'm like, they must have divert the water
Yeah.
around and pour sections, so to speak, and,
Now that one, I believe, is all precast.
okay,
I think they set those in
they step
and
those,
folded them together.
okay,
Yeah, ours is cast in place.
okay.
Not a big fan of the precast. We just had a lot of
I mean,
problems.
the walls seem that way to me, that's how they were done, just by how they were attached, or I guess we don't say rails, or how they were bolted together.
Mhm. Yeah, those are, I'm pretty sure precast that they folded each section
Yeah.
together. So, but yeah, it's going well.
The one precast we did a number of years ago,
It's okay,
it's holding up.
yeah.
We did one because of economic reasons. I mean, that's when the Highway 20 project was going on. I think concrete and labor was hard to come by, and Paul found this option. We tried it.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure on the industry to do that, change standards to, everybody's going precast, but I mean, the cast in place are, they're tried, true, they're proven. We've just had a lot of problems with concrete culverts pulling apart. And all that's holding these big things together are 2 of these bolts about that big around.
Mhm.
One on the top, one on the bottom on each side. It's like, I don't know, 30, 40 years from now, if they start to fail.
Stainless steel?
They're galvanized, hot dip galvanized. So theoretically, they should be okay for a long time, but it's just a lot of stress in it.
Oh, with freezing and everything
In
else.
theory, yeah, the deep buried parts don't come
Yeah.
apart. It's the ends where the freeze and thaw cycle takes place and pushes them a lot annually.
Yeah, and if they pull apart, then you got a really big problem.
Yeah.
Expensive
Get
problem,
undermining.
yeah. I know the precast people aren't too happy that I don't do more of it, but I think it's a better way to go with
For our
cast.
county.
I don't think it is either. I think there's a good place for it. There's places for those that make sense, but just not here.
Down south where it's warm most of the time.
Or the soils that are clay, more of a, like the glacial clays, eastern Iowa, central Iowa. Here we got the less soils, and I just never,
Makes sense.
yeah, been a fan. So, great crew. They've finished on J Avenue, did a real nice job. If you want to get over there, started, go north to the cemetery there, Charter Oak and go. And we did an intersection improvement right off of, that intersection there, and then keep going west and you'll see the 1.5 miles of grading they did. Nice job.
They did a great job. I stood there and watched them while they were filling that in. Looked like over in the water filling.
Yeah,
It was kind of
yeah.
cool.
So another nice project. So they moved up to E Avenue between 120th and 130th. We'll work on that. So may slow down. Got some shoulder work we gotta do, some granite shouldering, try to get some of that caught up before harvest starts here, which is in a few weeks. So, the bridge crew, they're still working on patching. Yeah, that's kind of some
They're doing
stuff.
a great job.
Oh, they're doing a good job. Yeah, they're not all that excited about patching. They're just simply building bridges and culverts. But they're doing a nice job with it. And then the roadside crew, seeding, and now we start mowing everything. So that was spraying, we mow all the roads, all the gravel roads, as well as the paved roads.
So
So
down all the snow fence.
that's kind of the goal, yeah, get it knocked down here late season, hope it stays. So, the Hungry Candies in Pisgah, I don't know if you're going over that.
I'm gonna be gone. I'll let John know.
I will. This will be kind of interesting because we're gonna go tour some of those deep less cuts over there in the area and talk about, the less soils and kind of what formed those. And I mean, so if anybody's interested,
Where's that at?
Pisgah.
Frank Louise has got us tied up.
Yeah, we got a veterans.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
We had-
out at,
we all got
yeah.
our shirts, we
Yeah,
all got
yeah,
our jobs.
that's a.
Clean that old
Well,
I'll be back trucking cafe down there in Pisgah.
There you go.
Made mistakes.
It's amazing how you remember those things, isn't it?
We went down Wolf Creek
Mills
Pass,
Pass.
went along the Great Divide and then on down the other side
Yeah.
last Tuesday, so.
That was a classic.
Yeah.
Man, let's help pay me.
He wrote that song.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
I gotta do a minute,
Danny,
you guys.
wife are here, so I'm just gonna pass this out in the circles, kind of where the bridge is, here to discuss. And I'll turn it over to them or whoever here, and the bridge is in the city of Vale, so, and I know they've been working with the city of Vale, I think that's why Susie is perhaps here, I know she's on the council, and so Danny was in last week. We're replacing the bridge on M55 over the East Boyer River. And that's north of where this bridge that I circled is at. So the one that circled is the one that's in the city of Vale. Yeah. So it's not the one we're replacing. That's the one they're here to talk about.
Okay,
The one we're replacing is the one north on East Boyer River. On M55. And so Danny was in last week because we, as we replace that bridge, there's this road, it's an unnamed road. I believe there was a bridge, if you look at where the circle's at, you go straight north, I believe there was a bridge and a road perhaps there at one time. Anyhow, there was a road there that went across the river. I believe it may have washed out. I don't know all the exact history. Danny may know that better than I do, but then the road was established just south of the river towards that today. There's no document of that ever being established. It's been there long enough that it would be considered a road. But we were working with Denny to try to get, some additional right of way to realign that as it comes into the new in the M55. But, his point was, well, there's no point in doing that if that bridge doesn't get replaced to the south. Then it would just be a field driveway. And so we just kind of decided to let it go. And whatever the decision would be after we build the bridge, not worry about that. If it doesn't get replaced, the other one, it'll be a field driveway. Does get replaced, buy a little right of way and realign the road, and our crews can do that. So then he asked about, the county helping with this bridge. I said, well, you have to talk to the board. And that's why they're here today. I said, I can't really answer that. And so that's kind of where we're at with that.
Paul, the county had to take care of the road up in the last 4 years, it's only been closed there. County always took care of it.
We would go in and put a plank on it periodically and do some minor repair to it. And what had happened is that it's pretty typical of what we're seeing in a lot of these bridges piling. They got so bad that it basically had to be closed. So I think that, the city of Vale is making those calls on that.
On what?
On the bridge, whether it was closed, I think it find, the condition had gotten so bad that it was not safe to be.
They did that before I got on.
But that's what happened.
But the county replaced that bridge in eighties.
Yeah.
Virgil Anderson's on board in that group, and they replaced the bridge, put the bridge in before that, this first bridge, and I think this is the second bridge. I've been around, I lived right there for 68 years. The county always took care of it until 4 or 5 years ago, they decided to turn it over to the city of Vale. Well, the city of Vale's broke. I mean, every little city.
Yeah.
So it makes a long process for us to farm, and anybody farming that goes to town to Eskimo co-ops and or Arcadia or Denison, because we have to go over to M55. I have a little map here, I couldn't really get a bigger one, but with the bridge out, we have to travel on the red. And with the bridge in, we go a quarter mile into blacktop.
Yep.
So it's like 3 to 4 miles every time we wanna haul grain. We farm like the 260 acres on north side of the river. So we have to haul everything around with wagons, tractors.
You mean like that creek there, another creek is what they call it.
Here's the bridge, here's the
Yeah, this is
bridge,
your,
here's the road we go in
you farm all this ground here.
we farm this, and then we got a bunch over here, and this.
Okay.
No, but see,
That's all north of this bridge.
yeah, so we have to go over here, which is two hills, and then we gotta go come back around with everything. Or here, it's a quarter mile. That's a lot of extra expense for anybody that wants to haul grain into town.
Right.
Yep.
We've been working with the city, we didn't come earlier because we've been working with the city, trying to get the city to do something. Well, they just get me around. We're broke. We get better money, but it's gonna cost us more to do the survey and the engineering part, then it's gonna be, should have you replace the bridge.
Paul, you and I think years ago,
Yes,
went and
yeah.
looked at that, remember that?
This bridge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
we have periodically done minor maintenance to it, just to kind of help the city out. I can't speak to the eighties, what was done, I'd have to be Chuck or Dale. Speak to that, so.
And not only is it longer to like pick grain into town or do farming activities, it's also taking longer for emergency vehicles to get to our place too. Because it's 2.5 times longer.
And the east-west road is on, it's usually snowed in for 3 days. Where this road is a river bottom and never gets long. You were at that meeting, I remember you and Paul, and you said you'd keep the bridge up as long as they kept it open, but then it got turned over to the city after that.
Cause I remember it being the city's property or within the city line to the bridge.
Yes.
Is that right, to the bridge, Paul?
Yeah, it's-
I remember going over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a city's bridge, I mean, we talked about
Right.
just continuing to doing minor maintenance. We're gonna completely rehab them.
Right.
And that's where we're at today, is that, if you got timber piling that are bad, the whole bridge has to come out. And, then you're starting over, so.
So did the county do surveying to say it's the city's bridge?
We did,
Because
yes.
we're not in the city limits on
Yeah.
the east side before the river,
Yeah,
to the bridge.
it's right on the section, right on the line, so.
And it's probably, you have to put, it needs a bridge, not a box culvert or.
Oh, yeah, it's, the drain area is too big, it needs to be a bridge. So, and, you know, Kyle, I think it was Kyle and Ty went, we met with the mayor and some of the city council members here when we bought that temporary bridge and offered that at cost.
Yeah.
As an option, so, you know,
Which I thought was a good price. I mean.
And I think we tried to help facilitate
Yeah.
this, and then at that time, I thought they were gonna seek out a grant to get that replaced.
Yeah, but that has never happened. So
And I guess that's the last I knew where it was at. I thought
well,
it was.
the city did qualify and is potentially receiving $1.5 million in dollars to replace the bridge. But it has to meet all the federal guidelines, so it has to be a concrete structure. But they can't use any of those dollars for the engineering, consulting, right-of-way acquisition, and all of those things that are associated with it. They can only use those dollars for construction. So, yeah, it really becomes their decision what they wanna
If they
do.
don't have the money, you said, that, like you said, it was gonna cost $150,000 for the survey to,
Well, the engineering fees and
Yeah.
everything could add up to a significant amount, yes.
and they don't have that money.
Yeah.
So this 1,000,005, how long is that grant? I mean, how long do you have to use that money or, you know, because you sure hate to have 1,000,005 set now that you've been awarded and
Yeah.
because of 150,000, you can't use the 1,000,005, if I'm understanding that correctly.
They won't get the money if they don't use it.
Right, right, but you know, usually there's a grant that has to be used by 2026 or, you know, Susan?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
there's-
don't know when it was.
There's
Yeah.
probably a 2 to 3 year window
2 to
there.
3 year.
You know, I mean, obviously, once you get the letter and you're awarded it, you wanna move as quickly as
Right,
possible.
yeah, yeah,
We got $1.5 million in city bridge funding for the one that we're gonna.
Correct,
get in January. And so, you know, we've been moving forward on that, and that's where we've had a discussion on the right of way. You know, and I mean, it's not gonna be in, it's gonna have to be spent at some
yeah,
point in
yeah,
time.
yeah,
But, anyhow, I told Dennis, you come up and talk to,
yeah.
come talk to the board, I mean, you know, I don't know.
My question is to you, Paul, is that our capabilities of surveying, would that be up to standards with what's gonna be required? I mean, as far as building a bridge, I know you guys are very good at surveying and stuff, but
We did the survey for the preliminary survey for the design of the structure that would be the $1.5 million structure. We already did the survey. I offered that out.
Mhm.
And so,
Survey's
but I
done.
don't know where they're at as far as, you know, because, I mean, I don't know if they're continuing to move forward on that or not.
yeah.
They say, yeah, you told me the engineering part, it wasn't the survey, it's the engineering part that's gonna cost the money.
We're right, and what we did for survey was probably in the value
And
of
we don't
$5,000
do
to
that even for our
$10,000 that we just did.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking
Not for a
about, is
concrete.
preliminary survey, that's gathering the ground shots, the data, all the information that we would normally do on a survey, like we did for the bridge that we're building. We did the survey.
Boring.
But the other things that have to be done are the borings, the design, the drawings, the bid letting, the contract administration.
Which we have no capabilities of
Well,
boring, we can't bore sample.
we could do contract administration and inspection, which would be probably in the, you know, if we had to hire someone to do it, it's gonna be in that, anywhere from 50 to 80,000, depending on what you gotta do. Construction survey, that's contract administration.
So that could put that bridge in, you know, for $150.
So,
Is that what the cost was for that bridge?
The estimate you gave me $150.
yeah, it's between 150 and 170,000, I think is what I gave to Monty at one time, because,
167, I thought,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, it was in that range, so we're all talking about the same
Okay,
range,
yep.
but
Versus
it's,
1.5 million, and
the 1.5 million is grant money.
Yeah,
Okay, but it takes all the costs to administer it, design it, and get it ready. Those are costs that could be in the same range as it would of what it took us to build the bridge. It's the temporary bridge that we're saying.
But what I've got from the mayor, I've been trying to visit with him and it's just, they're not gonna spend it. So I asked him to annex me out of the city limits, because we have like 50-some acres in city limits, which does us no good because of the Bowie River. They will not water, sewer, or anything over that direction. But then they don't get taxed.
So you're basically in city limits for the old brewery.
Yes.
The field is in the city.
That acre wide on that
That's what came
side.
out to you
Yeah,
though.
but we're not in, where we live, we are not in the city limits, because we're on the east side of the river. South
What did
side.
Monty say about that? And,
Yeah, you know, that. We lose tax money.
Yikes.
So we're sitting between a hard place.
You
know,
are.
We kind of let it slide for 3 years, thinking the city was doing something, then it looks like they're not. You're putting a new bridge in on M55, we would be glad to donate the land to make that access if you put a bridge in. But why do that access to that road, then you'll have semis and everything else going down to a dead end, and they can't turn around, because my field entrances are 7 foot down to approach to the road, you know, you can't get down there semi. So what we're asking you to think about putting a bridge in, because there's at least 10 families that use that road all the time to get to town. I bet you we have 2 cars a day turn around in our driveways, because they come down, see the signs at the bridge, so they have to turn around. Everybody's out of town, because it's, you know, it's a quarter mile instead of 2.5 miles to town.
Huh.
Just asking for your help.
You know, just
Yeah.
asking for your help. Been a long process. My dad has been fighting this bridge for 50 years. But the county did take care of it until about 5 years ago.
Okay.
In the eighties, they replaced that bridge. The city had nothing to do with it. I know that.
Paul, what are your
And that I
thoughts?
don't know. That I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna check.
What,
I guess getting on Kyle's point, is there, how much of can the Crawford County Engineers Office do?
Depends on how much you want us to do.
Okay,
And we can't do the board.
Offset the cost.
We wouldn't do the design. Probably what we did here with the city of Denison, and this is, the Donna Reed Road Bridge, which is clearly in the city limits. But it's a farm to market road, a true farm to market. I know, Danny, you said it's a farm to market
Well,
road.
it used to be, I mean,
But there are roads that are officially designated as farm to market roads.
yeah,
And so Donna Reed Road is one of those. And obviously it's 1,900 and some vehicles a day versus this, but anyhow, we're doing all of the contract administration, we're doing all of the project coordination, and then they're hiring a consultant to do the design. And the city of Denison is paying for all of that. So whatever we can do in-house there to help out, we're doing that. And that's kind of, everybody watching that
Yes,
spreadsheet,
yes.
kind of laid it all out and said, okay, we're gonna do this in-house. That'll be our contribution to the project. So, that would be up to you all to say, hey, we would like to have you do that. I mean, our office, we administer contracts all the time, so
I guess
it's not that we couldn't do it. We have the capability, it's just whether you want to go there.
we've extended sort of an olive branch to the city of Vale in the past, since I've been on this board, to help facilitate this, and then I thought we were on a path to getting it done, and then that grant kind of muddied the water of getting it on the bridge, because we were gonna
and change
deliver
things.
that temporary bridge right to that site, and then they found this opportunity for a grant. So I think maybe we just this table needs to open communication back up with the city of Vale and say, hey, we're here.
yeah.
We've been down and crossed the bridge once, and you guys, where do we wanna continue that?
The way I
We got
understand it,
concerned people here that are,
well, we have a neighbor who lives right up the road, and he has a business in town, but he leaves his skid loader in town, because when it snows, he brings it out, it's only a quarter mile out of town. And we both cross, we opened it up where a Ranger and a skid loader get up there. We don't go over to the vehicle or nothing, but if they close it, was told that they're gonna remove the bridge completely. So if they remove that bridge completely, I mean, we have to go around to even move equipment, where we can go now with the Ranger, just to get back and forth to get stuff and go back, and it's gonna be pretty dead.
So we've actually replaced and fixed bridges that are minimal use, for lack of a better term. They're used by minimal numbers. But there are bridges, our responsibility. They're in county territory. So basically the trade-off is if this is where my mind's going anyway. If we're gonna be responsible for this bridge, it's gonna be on our property. So then we'd have to work out a deal with Vail to recoup ground, tax ground that they're presently being paid for, that they don't wanna have responsibility for.
Okay, I'm gonna give you two.
I'm
more.
trying to just be blunt to the point here.
Yeah, exactly, cause we don't get the revenue off of it.
There you go. And I mean, we gotta be
You don't
fair
want
to,
it.
Whether
we've got 16,525 people we gotta be fair to.
Right, yeah, and so, you know, there's one point of view as a county engineer, there's the other point of view as a taxpaying citizen. And I know Susie's asking for my opinion, I'll lay it out. As a taxpaying citizen, I cannot see any justification to spend $1.5 million plus on
No.
engineering to build a bridge there. Okay, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
And as a taxpaying citizen, the best option is the one that we proposed first, which is the temporary bridge. It's very cost effective. It'll serve all of their needs that they ever need. I mean, if anybody looked at the bridge over West Side, it'll carry 96,000 pounds. And, you know, that's the most efficient, most best use of the taxpayers' money is to do that project. Now, you know, you talk about, well, could we do the administration on a $1.5 million brand new concrete bridge structure? Yes, we can. If the board's saying, hey, we'll offer that up, why not go to the temporary bridge and say, how about if we do a little something here? They bring something, and I almost mentioned to Danny, I said, we did a project down in Boyer Township. Danny Grove, he wanted that crossing really bad. He came to the table with $10,000. He said, I want this. Yeah, we did a cost share agreement. It was just a crossing, cost $250,000. But it was still a public road. Okay, and so, you know, sometimes the best option is where not everybody's completely happy, but everybody's a little bit of a partner in it.
Susie, do you
Now,
know?
that's my county engineer's perspective.
All right. I like it. You like it?
And so, you know, I don't know what the answer is. They can get around. They have a way out, okay? But it's not the best.
No.
I don't blame them for coming here and sitting and asking. I would be probably doing the same thing.
Well, it's
But then it's, but then it's, you know, what's the best use? What's the best overall use of the public's money?
But you put a county bridge in for one family, like what's that?
Oh, yeah, because there's no other way out.
That's the point I was just trying
The
to.
difference is that there's no other way out. We had no
We've had
option.
other instances where we've had to do a major
Yeah.
pouches bridge.
Pouches Bridge, 2 people.
Yep.
They don't have the way out, it's a dirt road. You can't get out.
This involves 10 families, they had, or they use it, farmers, too, all farmers, not all
I mean, when we've done cost shares with numerous cities where they pay us back over a number of years too, I mean,
of them. Good luck.
paving projects and such of that nature.
Susie, is Vail even, are they just a hard no? Are they willing to come to the table
Well, I
and
think
work?
they'll come to the table, but they are, I've found in the short time I've been on there, they're pretty damn wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me, we did
I mean,
5, 6,
it's,
10 council
it's,
meetings.
it's
We
pretty
just go
sad.
around in a
They
circle.
they
That's why
can't
we're
make
here.
up their mind on when I thought they were gonna do the deal Paul gave them. I really did. And then now all of a sudden I can't even get a hole in my alley fixed, you guys. So I mean, I don't know what their deal is. Like I said, I haven't been on there long enough to know what the issue is besides, yeah, they say they're broke, but you know, they spend money on sometimes I think stupid shit, but
They offered to bridge to me for $1. I said, yeah, you should owe me a get horse.
yeah,
No,
I don't know
Don't take that deal.
Bridge is closed.
yeah.
So-
Yeah, they don't want the land anymore. I do know that much.
Well, they won't annex me out of the city, you still have.
Well, actually,
We just need to say-
up until the bridge on the north side is city limits. And then, but then you go, as you go across the bridge to the west side is city limits, but on the east side it's not.
We're not
In the west side is where that old brewery.
Yes,
Right.
it's only an acre wide going to.
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
They were probably serving them with water and whatever else once upon a time.
No,
No.
water, nothing's ever been out of
So
town.
they just annexed them for tax purposes.
Yeah.
Well, I would hate to think the city would, you know, talk and try to figure something out, but I mean, I can't speak for
Well, the city said they have no money, so that's, go from there.
them. Yeah.
Always,
Yeah.
if they have no
Most of
money,
our
they're not
small
gonna
towns
invest into
don't-
a bridge. It's
Don't have a lot of extra at all, you know, I get that.
Is this-
They're one water main break from being broke, I get it.
So
But they still have a duty to provide services to their citizens.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it should be the burden of the county entirely, but I don't think I don't know.
Yeah, we pay a lot of taxes, so.
I believe we have a
Paul,
motion.
Our families pay a lot of taxes.
I guess, shut down bridges in the past. What, is there certain criteria that the county uses to say this bridge is, is no longer?
Oh, yeah, when the condition gets to the point where it can't carry,
So when it's the condition as far as replacement or just taking it out
No,
and not
the-
using it? What criteria kind of does the county use then? Does it base on number of people that travel the road or?
well, I mean, we close bridges because of condition. And then in the past, sometimes we let them sit for a while, see what kind of feedback there is. We're gonna have one of those probably over west of Charter Oak here in a few years. There's a pony trust over there on a road that's half mile south of 141. But you close it because conditionally, it's not safe for the travel of the public anymore. So we barricaded and closed. Some of them, there's just no need for it anymore and everybody's okay.
If there's
with it.
nobody there,
Right.
on a dirt road or something.
Well, the one just outside of Charter Oak to the north, I think it's, Pit Hands and Sullivan's.
Yeah, I mean,
We closed it.
donate the land to make, so, when after the new bridge on 55 is done, to make that turn off, to get onto that road, if the bridge is big. Maybe it's half an acre or something like that, if you want to make,
So that's probably about a $4,000 or $5,000 donation.
we'd be glad to be there.
All right.
And
So we got
to
Come to the table.
relocate the road.
They are bringing something to the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like you said, if that's not gonna be, the bridge is gonna be built, there's no point doing that, then it would just be a field driveway. But if the bridge is, I mean, that there would be the need to acquire that right away.
I think that we need to start an open communication with the city of Vale again, to kind of see where they're at and see how many players are coming to the
So you
table.
guys have to do that, because we're,
Yeah.
we're just getting run around what we doing. I'm complete run. You know?
Well, I'd be
We're
willing
broke,
to,
we're broke, and they
Yeah.
don't tell us that they're applying for anything, they don't tell us anything.
Question. Who maintains that gravel?
We blade it periodically, but they put the material on it. It is kind of like some of these other small towns, because they don't have a way to blade it.
We did something
Well, I mean,
similar in
we do-
Buffalo.
We waited it for years until we built the bridge.
We
They
blade
went
it,
over.
and then they.
But we blade it, but they
They
they'll
basically,
pay for the material,
and,
which probably ate up most of their tax money on the paper.
They're never put gravel on.
it didn't get a lot of gravel, yeah,
Oh.
because I mean, it
Never
doesn't
been
have,
touched since they closed.
doesn't have a lot of gravel.
Ultimately, we need to have a meeting
Yep.
again with
Open up
Susie, if we
communication.
can
Yeah.
go with
line
What
mine.
do
that
you want
up.
me to do? Ask them to come in here or what?
That'd be great.
I think we direct, your mayor to, I guess,
What?
I direct
Mayor
him to reach out to the mayor to say we're an open, if they'd like to come, get on our agenda on a Tuesday morning, we'd be happy to see them whenever they'd like to come.
We'd like to be on
For everything in the future.
All right.
What's that?
We'd like to be on.
Yeah, you can certainly show up.
Yeah, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Taxpayers,
Yeah.
something back, countywide
Okay.
taxpayers.
We can go 2 weeks, give everybody a chance to get their ducks in a row and see what we've got, 2 weeks.
What date would that be, Jean?
On a Tuesday morning.
No, I know, but what date?
Well, today's what?
Third, it'd be the
The third, so it'd Be
17th.
the 17th.
17th, okay.
I would ask that anybody that hasn't seen the bridge,
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, I'll go with him.
Yeah, I drove over.
Yeah,
Go
we'll all
see.
go out, take a look.
You probably won't have a bridge for that harvest.
Well,
No, I realize that. I mean, we sat around for over 3 years thinking the city of Vale was gonna do something. I mean, we've been into council meetings, we've been in trying to get information, and we get nowhere.
I believe that. I mean, really, I haven't been on there very long, but we get nowhere.
You get nowhere too, so you
Well,
know, it's
Let's start some
So that's
communication.
what we're here.
Let's see what we can do.
trying
So,
to get process, get things going, and then that bridge is going in M55 next year, the way I've understood. As long as you got everything there, we'll do that right away, if the bridge is gonna be in, let's do it all at once.
And I can see where, to Kyle's point, how that grant muddied the water, because the logical
I think we would have been done.
option would have probably been done, but now all of a sudden we had this other one, and well, what are we gonna do? And,
Yeah.
Well, this other money's gonna cost them more.
right,
We're back to
so
the
let's get
drawing
back
board.
to,
Yeah.
So,
We haven't talked about that grant for a long time. It came up once and then that was it. It just fell flat. And then, of course, they told me what Paul offered and I said, well, that sounds like a good idea, you
Yeah.
know, and.
so let's start the communication. I'll reach out to the mayor. We'll get it on the agenda for the 17th. Give us all a chance to go out there, drive it, look at it, get a real good feel for what's going on, have an open conversation and see what we can do. Cause it just seems like it got stopped and we just all need to start talking about it again in the county.
Great.
Yeah. So
Thank you for
give
bringing
everybody,
it.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Like I said, it's, you open the map, always around, we've been doing it for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Hard wear and tear.
you'll be seeing some people out there and that's gonna be us looking
We
around.
store all of our grain in the farm. And if you go to, you know,
I think that's what we do.
I'm not gonna promise you the world, cause
no, I know you can't,
one
but
thing we do try to do is stay consistent, so when the next town comes in, we can say, well, this is what we did
Yeah.
there, and, this is the offer we're gonna lay out on the table for you. So,
And that's, and I mentioned that today too, yeah, they have to be consistent.
Right.
so I have a question. If they would annex this out of city limits, then what would happen?
and it'd be the counties.
It'd be county's bridge.
Mhm.
Then what? Would you be interested, could you put that
Well,
temporary?
the temporary bridges, we already agreed to, that we thought that was a good idea at one time, so I don't think that our minds have changed
I
on
don't think
that.
we've changed our mind about that.
So if I get them.
Those will be the
Annex this out.
conversations we can have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
So,
wouldn't they, you mean the
Does it cost to
city?
cross that
annex
bridge?
you out?
yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's a good one again,
Have you
Kyle.
asked them to annex?
Oh, yeah, I said it to the one councilman, and they never brought it up the last minute, meeting, we were gone.
So why don't you annex this out? You don't provide us water, you don't provide us sewer, you don't provide us access in the town, that's true.
Well, I think those are all the different angles we have to look at.
Right.
And we have to have,
Well, that's not right.
they all
Your tax
here to
money, they-
know what
you know.
direction they wanna go as
Yeah.
well.
Point, Susie.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right, Susie, that is one of the
Yeah.
taxation without road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's shit, and then we've got Elena Pearson, and he's got 30, 50. Damn near 100 acres in city limits too, and he gets no.
Water, sewer.
Texas, it's just pay the.
Well, we're gonna all put our heads together and see what we can do. So it gives us an opportunity to get out there, look at it, get a hold of the mayor and, just start the conversation and our offer, you know, what the county can
Yeah,
do.
we realize it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
I realize that, we've been sitting around.
Unfortunately,
Well,
yeah.
we did think that there was something in the works, to be honest.
No, it's.
I guess I thought it was.
I thought there was too, but then that fell on his face.
Yeah.
So I
That
mean,
was,
I,
that fell
I mean-
in May last year.
Yeah.
That's how things fall off of our radars, because we
Right.
think, well, we gotta take care of, move on to the next, because we've got a list of problems.
So we
Yeah.
appreciate you being on the agenda so we can discuss it and actually take an action on it and, you know, get a plan.
Well, I appreciate you listening to us.
Well, thank you very much.
We
we're
should
on
have
it.
something be done within,
Yeah.
like I said, bridge, that new bridge over Ramsey, that's happening next year, which I think, right, Paul?
Yeah, but our goal is let it,
Yeah, so, you know, if you haven't got stuff out there,
Yeah,
you know, we just want to do that and get everything done, you know.
yeah. We'll see what happens on the 17th.
Okay.
I'll reach out to the mayor.
What time would you-
About the same time, we'll have you on the agenda right after Paul.
Right after
Yep, Paul
Paul
talks
before.
at 9:45. And then we'll just have you on the
That way
agenda
we'll
right
still have
after
it in
that.
there.
Okay,
So,
that works.
works good.
Okay.
All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you.
thanks, Paul.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Coming up, Susie.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yeah, Susie, you filled in some blanks for us. Thanks for coming
Oh,
representing
I
the
did
city of
think
Dale.
safety meeting,
All right,
lunch was great.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't bring that
Well,
up in the
Gene
report.
and Dave are out
Yeah.
there, but this guy was fantastic.
I felt bad I missed it. I
Yeah,
had.
he,
Roy was talking about how he said, I'm gonna drop that tree right there, and I said, everybody said, yeah, okay, and he dropped it right there.
I mean, everybody was just really impressed with him. I mean, the science of cutting a tree down, you know, and he was, you know, he really connected with the guys. He had a little swagger, you know, so,
The
but
guys seemed energetic after
did.
it, they seemed
they
excited about
did,
it.
they
You
did.
could tell
I
it was a
mean,
good-
They say they
It's a good
learned
training
something.
then.
oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, he covered everything from all the details of the chainsaw. He tore the chainsaw apart there on the tailgate of the pickup and started showing them all these things that nobody ever knew, you know?
Yes.
Excellent.
And, you know, in a steel chainsaw, there's a winter and a summer. The little plug that you put in that changes the airflow and chainsaw, the steel chainsaw. These are the professional grade ones, though.
Oh,
Yeah, he uses it. He recommends, he said,
It's the ones
get the
you
good ones, get the good ones. But yeah, he was really good. So well attended and, the guys had a nice night.
They didn't
Good
seem
lunch.
like they were upbeat when I.
Had a good lunch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
smelled
yeah.
good.
I know, I had another meeting that came up that morning.
Yeah, it's missed out on a great pork loin.
Yeah, it did
We
smell
didn't have fresh
delicious.
watermelon.
You come out though with the meal just right on, for the amount of people and what you had cooked, it was just.
Yeah, I had 40 pounds of pork loin and there were 5 pieces left.
Yeah, it
Pretty good.
smelled wonderful.
And we had the park guys there too, park guys
Yeah,
came up,
that
and
was
we invited
nice.
them to come up, they said, there's a lot of trees in that park, you gotta cut down.
Yeah.
Go, yeah, it's ugly. It's scary to see how
Yeah,
bare that
so-
park is gonna be when the trees are gone.
I know,
I
I
hate it.
know, so.
I hate everything about
That
it.
new one,
So,
that new one.
I saw Nate and I said, Nate, we drove through the campground there, and he said, all these trees are gonna go, cause they're all dying. And, so I gave him a check for $100, I said, start a fundraiser, and have people donate to buy a tree
Yep.
for
I'll
the
do that.
campground. I said, you'd be surprised how many would,
I'll do
would give you, you
Yeah.
know, a
A
check.
lot out of the campground gotta come down.
Yeah,
Oh, there's.
I thought I seen a lot of them that looked
Oh,
like
yeah.
they were sketchy.
but I mean, we
It's
used to
sad.
camp there with our kids when those trees were, you know, and I said, you know, you gotta start planting them now,
Right,
so that they get trees in there.
plant a tree for the next generation.
$100 tree.
Let's do it.
Oak trees take a long time. You know, an maple tree goes pretty fast.
See ya.
Bye, Paul. Thank
Yeah.
you once again.
Sticky on.
All right, next on the agenda, we have Sherry Nedemeyer, our treasurer, following up on the abatement for the mobile home parcels for the August 20th meeting. Come on up, Sherry.
Mine's pretty quick.
All right.
Basically, I just talked to legal about your question for future taxes. We went ahead and we abated all the 3 that were approved a couple weeks ago. And Martha pulled code that said the county treasurer may bring or cause an ordinary suit at law to be commenced and prosecuted in the treasurer's name for the use and benefit of the county for the collection of taxes from any person. So we can do it, but we need to take into consideration the time and the expense that it would cost for something that, depending on the individual, you may not ever recover. So abating in these situations was definitely
More cost effective.
more cost effective.
I agree with that. The only, just bringing, getting something on their record that they didn't pay something keeps them from doing that to someone else. And I think there's a consequence for that. So if you just have a judgment against them for what they left us hanging with, when they go to another place, they're gonna take care of that. If they ever want to buy a house or if they ever want to, these people might get money at some point in time and
Bankrupt.
the county deserves that, you know?
Oh, right.
And I
You're not
think
wrong.
we're not necessarily saying they're gonna pay it, but down the road, they may see the errors of their ways and pay it so they don't.
But to be fair to the taxpayer on the other side of that, if it costs us 10 grand to collect
It won't cost,
800 back,
I'm not talking, we're not going to
I'm-
court.
You're just using that as an example.
example,
It's not-
that if it costs us more than what it does
It's
to
not
get
going
it
to.
back, you have to weigh those both sides to be most
It's,
efficient.
it's,
cost efficient with
how much do
taxpayer
you think
money.
it would cost to just, put an action on it?
That would say most of the time, the people that aren't paying that back, they're not really worried about their credit report anyway.
Not at this
It's
time. in their
squeezing
life.
word from a child.
But I agree with you, yes, they should feel something down the road because they walked away from it, but
Right.
it's at what
I
cost,
don't
you
think it
know,
would cost that much.
balancing.
I don't know that it's just necessarily putting a judgment on them, though. I mean, I think this is actually taking action. This is having them file a
Let's put a
suit.
judgment on. Like a small, what the average person would do, that doesn't cost much of anything.
We shouldn't be the whip and post every time you turn around.
I don't know. But there's 5 of us here, I think we should see how much it would cost, but if it's the wishes of this board, that we just let it ride, and, if you walk away from Crawford County, don't pay your taxes, we'll just. I certainly agree, if it's $10,000 to collect 800, that's ridiculous, but if it's $50 to file a, claim with the small.
Well, and I agree too, that we're setting precedents. You don't pay your taxes, we'll abate them and away you go. Yeah, no big
But
deal.
can't we just go to small claims with them? I
I mean, can we
personally,
say it depends on the person or it depends on the situation?
Is that fair?
These are people that we haven't been able to been in contact with.
Yeah.
For years.
Don't know who they are. or
So
don't
in
even know who
filing
they
a
are.
small claims judgment, they won't be able to find them either, or locate
well, at
them,
least when,
do anything.
when you least expect it and they go and see, oh my gosh, I owe Crawford County $300, I better pay that so I can buy a house. We'll get that. Just a thought.
Martha said, we can do it. I mean, that's what I wanted you to know. We can do it. But then she,
Do we want to set
She
a
also
dollar amount if it's less than $300, we don't mess with it, but if it's $1,000, we do? You know,
I think, do we have any idea what the cost would be to put this judgment out there?
I just marked that. I can ask her.
yeah. Don't go
I
into
think
too
we-
much trouble. I don't.
I hate to put a number out there now without weighing each individual scenario and making that judgment of whether it was worth our time and money to do what we can to stop, or at least put some teeth.
I wonder
on.
if some of these people, here's a question that's in my mind, do they even realize they owe something?
There you go.
If you can't find them and you can't get them their tax statement, I mean, they may not, but I mean, I
They may have
kind of
thought
know
that-
what I owe.
I'm moving on of this, and we don't know what kind of agreements they made with the, I mean, I, not to say anything about what the holes are doing, or, but you know, there may be a trailer court out there, well, I'll leave you that trailer. You can just rent it up, you can just use it as a rental property. I'm moving to California because I got a good job out there, or whatever.
Didn't we have that scenario in Charter Oak where a lot was gonna be gifted to somebody without them knowing it?
Oh.
Remember that?
That's my point is, I mean, we don't know, I'm not, you know, we can make 1,000 scenarios, but we don't know what happened here
Yeah,
that these people didn't pay. You know, I mean, maybe they didn't think they owed anything and away they went.
What I got from it was it was gonna be costly and timely. So I
I mean,
wanted you to
ignorance
know
is the
that.
law is no excuse, I
we,
get
at
that
least we
too.
know if
but-
we ever have a scenario where we want to, we can.
We
How's
can,
that?
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And a lot of this was interest and penalties, so the county probably didn't write off.
There may be a time where we'll need to know about that. Now we know we can, so maybe this isn't the time or the dollar amount to do it, but maybe someday we might want
I
to.
know what I mean. Instead of I just won't pay the interest, the penalty, I'll pay the principal. So I mean, interest and penalty is, we are out money on that. In theory, we're not, but we are. So that, I mean, it's a tough situation, but yeah, that money that was owed to us because that's what the law states. That your interest and penalty are tacked on to that if you don't pay your tax.
I'd like to know, I mean, if you could dig a little bit more, just
Costly and time,
I don't know, how much time, how much.
how costly and how time.
I just know that,
Maybe-
you know, people used to
maybe
write me
it's
bad
maybe
checks, like
different.
a convenience store. And, 2 years later, I'd get a check because they were trying to buy a house or whatever, and they paid off what they owed me, and it's cost. This cost a whole lot, this cost a lot, taking to small claims.
And in this situation, I'm not so sure that the county truly lost money because the owner has a mobile home that they're paying taxes on, and that mobile home has been gone. I mean, it was junked or gone. So the trailer park owner is still paying taxes on the land.
This might not be the
So
scenario.
If somebody else would have brought in a trailer and set it there on that lot, then the county's losing money because you're not collecting from them, but that's really not the situation.
Okay,
This situation, Nick's still paying taxes on the land.
all right,
We were still charging taxes on something that wasn't there.
not the scenario that we
Not
really
the
need
prop-
to
not
react
the
to. but-
Trailer, but the
Right.
property.
Well, no, this was on.
There
This was on the
The
trailer.
property tax
This
is
is on
being
the
paid by
trailer.
the owner of the mobile home center, mobile home park. He was paying tax on the land.
Yeah.
This was
On the trailer.
Actual trailer,
That wasn't there.
that wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, so we probably didn't lose anything.
Each scenario's.
Well, this is
Different.
not the time, but we do know that if we ever need to,
Need to, we
get how there might be a time. So thank you
Oh,
for
there will
bringing
be,
that
yeah.
information
Sherry?
up.
Thank you, Sharon.
We will have a scenario sometime that this
It'll
will,
happen.
it'll happen. So at least we know we can.
Inevitably, maybe.
They did say that the treasurer would
Let's
do
name that
that.
building.
All right, very good. Now we're gonna name that building. I'm sure that's why Louise has joined in with us. So last time we kind of came up with Crawford County Community Services was the name that I thought everybody kind of liked. Some people put annex
Yep.
behind it, some people.
I think just Crawford County Community Services Building is a great name.
Community
for it.
Services Center or
Center building.
DCSC?
3 Cs with an S in the C. Crawford County Community Service, so it's CCCSC. You're gonna save money.
Because it's bigger than,
It is, especially if they're gonna be,
all the
have,
public health building wouldn't be right,
Nope.
all of the veterans building
Nope.
wouldn't be right.
Calling it public health and veterans.
we have to buy the.
You gotta
letter.
think about how much a sign's gonna cost.
I'm just asking since that's what the building does.
But
What-
DHS
Who gets to be first?
You add anything else down the road?
would have, where,
So the other one's
just
called like Crawford County Annex.
That's what it is now.
That's what it is now.
That's what it is now, so.
bigger.
I like the Community Services Center.
It is our community services. So,
I mean,
I don't know.
you know, Louise does TAP and Veterans Affairs out of there. Public Health has got,
Eye Smiles,
there you go. Look, I
family
mean,
planning,
If you kept the
Immunizations.
annex, you could just take that off the building and move it over to there.
well, okay.
and then also you got where you'll have at times what, mental health will be using it or DHS will be using it at times. So it is a
Actually-
community services building.
Can't you, substance use?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
potentially
thinking
for
about,
that.
you know, being able to do that. So has to encompass all the services. I think this picking a service would be, now, there's nothing, you know, saying that Louise can't put her Veterans Affairs on, you know, she's advertised how to get down there.
Well, I think that wasn't at the plan already that you talked about, that they want to put that in the window.
Does not change that, does not change that, so. So we just kind of need to,
I make a motion to name county building at 115 North 14th, formerly the city center, as the Crawford County Community Service Center.
Community
With
services,
an S or without an S?
community services,
services
Services.
center.
services center.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the naming of the building? Anybody out on Zoom? Everybody okay?
Yep.
I'll call for the motion of naming the building Crawford County Community Services Center. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye.
We
We
really
have a
wanted to call it the
name.
Wheezy Complex.
Too late now, too late now.
We can
So,
change.
well, all right, till we order the letters, we can get it back on the agenda. So for now, that's what.
Crawford County Community Services Center.
Yep. So,
Yes,
all right, we'll get the letters ordered.
well, we really
So now
chewed
we
on
are
some
at,
serious stuff today.
The citizen input. Anybody have anything? Cindy, Louise, Sherry? City, community, or citizens input? If not, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Will we adjourn?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting has been adjourned. Thank you to everybody for coming and all your input. All good. When can we go look at the bridge in